He seemed to be getting more and more familiar to her as they talked, but she wasn't sure why. She became curious, his eyes penetrating through his long hair. He took the money from her with grace. She scowled, a great deal of sympathy for him, but she still had no idea who he was. Welcome to USA Stories Channel. Do not forget to subscribe and activate the bell button to receive all new updates. Now let's go to the story. Ruth Reed lived in Medford, New Jersey, and she was everything from typical. She loved the peace and quiet of her modest life with her spouse after retiring from teaching. She made herself some coffee and curled up with the newspaper one early morning, enjoying the quiet. She had no idea that this week, which had seemed routine, was going to take an unexpected turn. Ruth and her spouse were a wonderful match. They never had arguments, and despite not having children, they never felt incomplete since they had each other. They realized how fortunate they were and were appreciative of what they had. They understood the significance of acting with kindness at all times and giving back whenever they could. But occasionally, individuals might misinterpret specific circumstances. Ruth left for the convenience shop around 6 o'clock in the evening. She had been a regular for years, so she was familiar with the store and most of the patrons. But this particular day, she noticed a strange face. After finishing her purchases, she observed a difficulty at the front of the line and decided to wait in line to pay. She recognized the strange face from before, and it appeared like he was struggling to make his payment. It wasn't what she thought, but she felt bad for him. Ruth described the event as she stated, "It looked like he was using a card and it didn't go through, and then he asked the young lady for $5, and I thought, this is it, so I said, no, I'll get it." Ruth would never pass up an opportunity to show generosity. It was her time to take the lead, but for him it was someone else. She took a few steps toward the man and opened her handbag. "Here, I'll help you," she offered. Next, she said, "If we don't help each other out in the hard times, what are we all here for?" While holding a $5 note in his palm and holding it in her warm, caring hands. Anybody would be warmed by her acts, but he responded in a way that was not expected. His arms were covered with tattoos and his long hair appeared disheveled. Ruth saw from his intriguing outfit that he didn't appear to be from her neighborhood. Ruth and her spouse had a reputation for being helpful in the grocery store. Frequently, they would assist several veterans and service members. Speaking candidly about her life, Ruth said, "We resolved to treat military personnel at W or Dunkin' Donuts or anything whenever we saw them. It's how we express our gratitude for their service." This individual, however, was not a military man. He graciously thanked her after removing the cash from her hands. However, she noticed something familiar about him when she truly took the time to look at him. She attempted to find out why he looked so familiar and talked to him a little longer. However, everything clicked into place when he identified himself as Keith. However, it was impossible for it to be him. Why, of all places, would he be here? She was mistaken, though. Ruth gradually gave up on the notion that he was the enormous country music celebrity she had in mind as they conversed more. She asked, "By the way, has anyone ever told you that you look like Keith Urban?" right before they were going to part ways. "I am Keith Urban," he added, laughing. Ruth gave him a sidelong glance. Then she became aware of something really weird. Glancing around him, she saw other men standing nearby, observing them. When she understood what was going on, her heart began to race. He had them as his bodyguards. Standing in front of her was none other than the adored country music icon Keith Urban. But why was he in this place? Ruth was shocked to learn that the man was, in fact, who he claimed to be. Not only was he who he said he was, but he's also a major celebrity. Keith Urban is one of the biggest success stories in country music. Over his career, he has put out several chart-topping hits. Despite spending much of his time in Australia and New Zealand, the famous country singer has managed to become a U.S. sensation. Not only is he well known for his music, but he's also wed to the stunning Australian actress Nicole Kidman. Keith Urban is worth millions, yet that day his fortune didn't really assist him. Ruth could not think of anything to say. "I just fell apart," she stated, "and he was so gracious." Not only was Ruth surprised to learn that she was conversing casually with Keith Urban, but she was also ashamed that she had misidentified him and mistaken him for someone in need. She expressed her doubts about his identification to him directly. But Keith's opinion on it? Ruth stated, Keith laughed when she realized he wasn't lying, and he was very gracious. It must have all seemed very comical to him. Given his enormous celebrity status, it is unlikely that he is overlooked or misidentified as someone who is struggling. Fortunately, Keith took it really well. He wanted to repay Ruth for her compassion since he was so appreciative of it. Ruth was unwilling to accept anything in return, even though Keith was prepared to pay her back for her generosity. She informed him that she had made the decision to live her life, seizing every chance to provide a little brightness to someone else's day. She didn't want money, though. There was one thing she really wanted from the superstar. Ruth had found it hard to accept that she was actually talking to Keith Urban. Why would anybody else accept her story? She desired documentation to demonstrate to her pals that everything had actually occurred. Ruth and Keith stood together in front of the wall for the picture that would soon become incredibly popular. Ruth shared the picture on social media, and because of their funny conversation, her post rapidly attracted attention. Ruth's story quickly shot to the top of several U.S. newspapers as readers were captivated by her compelling tale. Ruth was soon scheduled for a large number of interviews. Even Keith Urban's Native Australia heard about the tale, as it was mentioned on the Kyle and Jackie O radio program. Ruth also received a great deal of appreciation for her kind disposition and the deeds of kindness that she and her spouse so steadfastly uphold. Her kindness left a lasting impression on reporters, viewers, social media users, and the wall store owners. After Ruth committed a nice deed, good things began to happen to her. Her touching story went viral, making her a local celebrity. People admired her generosity. To celebrate her, the Medford W even provided free coffee for a day. They erected a placard displaying her photo and expressed gratitude for brightening people's days. That's not all, though. Ruth was tweeted by MasterCard a few days later. They wished to support her in carrying out her weekly deeds of generosity. They gave her prepaid cards in exchange for 52 deeds of kind. Ruth's Facebook page is secret, but Olivia, one of her former students, shared her experience. Others were moved to act kindly as well. A Twitter user referred to Ruth as a everyday hero. They remarked that even in the absence of fame, she would have aided others. Ruth and her spouse were commended for their generosity. After learning about Ruth, country music artist Carly T penned a song about her. Ruth's protege Keith Urban did not post a notice of her on social media, but he did post that he had a blast in Camden, where the W located. Ruth's tale demonstrates how little deeds of kindness may have a major positive impact. How do you feel about Ruth's charitable deed? Tell us in the space provided for comments. Please remember to subscribe to our channel, give us a thumbs up, and turn on the notification bell so you won't miss any of our videos. If you enjoyed the tale, the next video that plays on your screen will probably move you too.